This is an AJ Duggar exclusive. This is AJ Duggar talking to Tariq Nasheed. How you doing, brother?
What's going on, brother? How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. I used to do some radio DJing back in college,
Hello?
so.
Hello?
Okay, man, I got a couple of questions for you here. First of all, I gotta say, big props to you for being a brother that's doing something with his life and helping others. You know, because you're doing something productive, and that's what I like to see.
Real talk. Real talk. Respect.
Okay, now tell me some of the shows that you've appeared on and some of the books that you've written for the people that don't know much about you.
Yeah. About 11, 12 years ago, I wrote a book called The Art of Macking. It was a very popular dating and relationship book. Book sold 500,000 copies. And I've done a whole bunch of television talk shows, The Tonight Show, a lot of MTV, VH1 shows, Conan, a whole bunch of stuff. A lot of radio shows around the world. And I do lectures all over the world. I've done lectures at Ivy League schools. I've done sold-out lectures in Miami, New York, just all over the world. And I just talk about dating and relationships from a real guy's perspective. And not only do I talk about dating and relationships, I talk about a lot of social issues that really affect dating and relationships. So I'm a pretty diverse guy, and I'm also a producer and director. I have a critically acclaimed documentary out called Hidden Colors, and I'm working on Hidden Colors 2 right now. I also have a horror movie that's coming out later this summer called The Eugenist. So I try to be a jack of all trades.
I see that. That's what's up, man. Hey, where are you from originally?
You know, originally I'm from Detroit, but I grew up in Birmingham, Alabama. I grew up in Alabama as a kid, and as a teen I moved out to Los Angeles. So I call myself a Los Angelino because I've been out here longer than any other place. So, you know, LA is my spot. So I'm still out here in LA. So I rep LA right now.
Okay. Now, you know a lot about interacting with women. Now, how did you uncover the art of macking for yourself? And how old were you by the time you had everything on lockdown?
You know, I thought I had everything on lockdown when I was like 16 and 17. You know, when I was living in Alabama, you learn a different part of the game. You know, I have my grandmother, my mother, very respectable women. So I learned, you know, to have a certain level of respect for women. I learned how to notice the best of women. My mother and grandmother, they were the absolute best of women. And when I moved to the West Coast, I saw the flip side. I saw a lot of scandalous females. I saw a lot of women who were the opposite of what I was raised around. So I learned both sides of the coin. And I learned down south how to be hospitable, but I learned how to kind of put a little salt, a ruthlessness in the game, like the West Coast brothers. When I moved to the West Coast, these brothers were raw with the game. The game out here was totally different. So I observed and I learned the yin and the yang of dating. So you can't just be one way. You have to tailor your game to the types of females you're dealing with. So that was one of the first lessons I learned, and I figured out that there's a science to this thing. So I wanted to find out what the science of dating was. And when I started traveling around the world, I would see, even though I didn't know the language in certain places, I could see who had confidence, who did not have confidence, who had game, who didn't have game, just based on body language. So I wanted to study that and get into that, and that's what I did. And I packaged it in a book called The Art of Macking.
Oh, okay. Okay, man. Now, were you ever shy or awkward around women at any point in your life?
You know, probably when I was like 7, you know, when you're like 7, 8, you're a little awkward. You know, I was a little awkward then, but when I, you know, was around 12 or 13, the girls started kind of getting into me. I'm getting into them real heavy because I've always been like a little girl crazy type of kid. But then when the girls started choosing, you know, that boosted a brother's weight up a little bit. And, you know, I got out of that shy thing. And that's the major problem that a lot of guys have. A lot of guys weren't fortunate enough to get out of that shy thing. A lot of guys don't know how to come out of that shell to become extroverted. And a lot of that has to do with really a lot of people you grow up around. Because, see, I was an only child, so I didn't have an older brother, younger brother, older sister, younger sister. I didn't have anybody telling me what I could not do. Because that happens a lot. You have your siblings kind of putting a seed of doubt in your mind. But not even in a negative way. Sometimes they might be playing around, they might rib you, they might joke on you a little bit, but that starts messing with your self-esteem after a while, and that's why a lot of people become introverted. Fortunately, I didn't go through that stage when I was an adolescent. But this is what I wanted to teach people. I wanted to teach people how to get out of that shell and become more extroverted and become less shy and get over their fear of rejection, because that's the number one fear that guys have when it comes to getting at women. The number one fear men have is a fear of rejection. What if this female says no? That's going to be devastating to the ego. And once I tell guys that you're just going to have to brush that off. If a girl does say no to you, if a girl is not cooperating with you, that's still not the end of the world. You just got to keep going back out there and campaigning until you get elected.
That's right, man. That's right. And that leads me to my next question. You've got a very self-confident vibe about yourself, and I've learned a lot from you. As a matter of fact, I consider myself the Tariq Nasheed of journalism. You know,
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
It's all in the way that you carry yourself and the way you dress. I want to know, where does your self-confidence come from?
It comes from trusting myself. That's the thing, that a lot of people don't trust themselves. Self-confidence is all about trusting that you're going to do the best you can do. You're going to stand up for yourself. You're going to keep your head up. A lot of people, man, they have this mentality where they do not trust themselves, so they look for other people to validate them. They don't trust themselves in business. This is why a lot of people won't venture out and become entrepreneurs, because they don't trust that they can provide for themselves. So that has a lot to do with your self-esteem. When you start trusting yourself and you know that you're going to handle your business and you're going to overcome any obstacle thrown in front of you, you're going to be all right, man. That's going to change your confidence level 100-fold. So that's where that confidence comes from. I have absolutely 110% trust in myself.
That's what's up. And you're the only person I know that comes with the real. Like, nobody else talks about the stuff that you talk about. You know, a lot of people are afraid to say the things that you say. Now, is there anybody that's tried to compete against you?
There's no competition, and I say that very humbly, and the reason why is because a lot of people, let's go back to the trust thing, there are not too many really, really independent cats out here, especially people who have a large audience. Fortunately, I've accumulated a large audience, and I'm my own boss. I don't have to answer to anybody. And I built it up from a grassroots level. And that's a great thing when you're able to have a large audience from a grassroots level. The thing is, when you have, like if you're in the media or if you're under some type of corporate conglomerate, you instinctively have to watch what you say. Mm-hmm. You can't be real. You can't be 110% all the time, because the threat of you being fired is always there. You know, as a matter of fact, with the whole thing with Trayvon Martin, I heard something about the people at ESPN. They were telling the commentators not to say anything about the Trayvon Martin case. That's a very sad thing. That's a sad thing to have to work through, that you can't speak on something so pertinent to the community. So, again, black folks, they have to be more self-sufficient. We need more self-sufficient black people who can speak out against certain things. We used to be like that in the 1960s. In the 1960s, there was a bunch of people like me. You had Muhammad Ali. This brother, he was confident enough in himself to say, hey, I don't believe in what the Army is doing. I don't believe in what these people are doing, and I'm against it, and I will relinquish my title for my beliefs. Mm-hmm. You had the Dick Gregory. Dick Gregory, he was a famous comedian. He stood up for his rights. You have the Sidney Poitier, the Harry Belafonte, all of these people, they spoke their mind in the 60s. They didn't care about the corporate powers. They had confidence in themselves to stand up and speak out against what they felt. Nowadays, man, people are so scared to lose money. We have, I hate to say, like hoes. Everybody's acting like a hoe who's scared to lose money. You dig what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So I don't think like that. I'm going to always say what's on my mind, and I'm going to be all right, because I'm going to take care of myself.
I got you, man. I'm going to move on to Hidden Colors real quick.
Yes.
I got to say, man, the first one blew my mind. Like, I learned a lot. Like, for instance, that the Civil War wasn't really about freeing slaves, and that,
yes,
that there was African presence in America before Columbus. What inspired you to create that film?
You know, a lot of this stuff, man, Hidden Colors, the stuff that's in the film, I've been knowing it for years, and I've always interjected it in my lectures. If you've ever been to any of my lectures, I would always try to throw in a little history, just slip it in there between between the relationship advice, because sometimes if you talk too much about history, the young folks, it'll kind of throw them off. But the thing is, I kept looking at all the movies that were coming out, like The Blind Side, The Help. Really, in the last 4 years, we've been seeing a lot of negativity, Precious, and all these images of black people shown in a very negative way. And on television, there's really no positive black images no more on television. And this all happened, really, it's been going on for a while, but it's been really intensifying in the last 4 years. So a lot of us, we sit around and we say, well, somebody needs to say this. Somebody needs to do a story about that. And, I was one of those people. I would look at History Channel and I would see stuff that they would say about Egypt or Africa, and I'm like, oh, man, that's so inaccurate. This is completely inaccurate.
Right.
But it just got to the point where I said, okay, look, if nobody's going to do anything, nobody's going to really tell our story the way we need it told, I'll do it. Hell, I just study film work, filmmaking, directing, do some research, and I'll do it myself. I'll raise the money, and I'll do it myself, and that's exactly what I did, and we got it popping. And Hidden Colors is like one of the best-selling history documentaries that's out in the game right now, critically acclaimed, and I'm very grateful for that.
That's awesome. And I always wanted to ask you this. I think Hidden Colors is a very clever name for the movie. How did you come up with that?
How did I come up with that? You know what I did? I asked some of the people on Facebook, because I interact with my Facebook people, and my audience, I try to interact with them. And, we're tossing around names. I wanted something with the word hidden in it. So we're like, hidden history. People were throwing out names. People were like, how about hidden Africa, hidden Negroes? We were just throwing out different names.
Mm-hmm.
And I think somebody said, let's call it the true colors. And I said, okay, the colors thing, I'm feeling the colors. So I said, okay, let me just get a combination of certain things. Let's just call it Hidden Colors. And, we just brainstormed and we came up with it. And that title is a very catchy title.
It is. And man, it's kind of funny. I was half joking with my wife, because I've shown it to her, and I said they need to make a sequel for this. And then out the blue, you said, here comes Hidden Colors 2.
Yeah.
So is Hidden Colors 2 going to be better than the first one, and if so, how?
Yeah, you know what? Hopefully people think it's better, because I was very nervous about the first Hidden Colors, because I was thinking, I'm like, I hope it's not too long. That was my thing when I was making it. And that's why I wanted to make it, because when we finished the edits, Hidden Colors was really about 3 hours long, the first one. And I said, okay, the people in the audience at the theaters, they might get bored, so I need to make this, cut it down to 2 hours. That's why all the information is so jam-packed and so attention-grabbing, because we got the absolute best of all the information and put it in those 2 hours. And again, when it came out, I didn't know how it would be received. And I thought it would be too long, even at 2 hours. But then people were like, man, this is too short. We want more information. So I said, okay, that's good. That's good. That means people are thirsty for the information. But this new Hidden Colors, this time we're going to get even deeper. That's why I want people to be able to soak in the first one before they see the second one. Because the first one, we did it pretty fast. We did the first one in like 4 months. We shot it in December of 2010, and it was in theaters in April. So we shot it and edited like overnight. I mean, every single night, just cranking it out. But this one, we're taking our time a little more. I've been traveling to different countries to get extra footage. So this one, in my honest opinion, I think this might blow the first one out the water. We got some of the same speakers in the first one. We got a couple of more extra people. We got a brother named Claude Anderson, bad brother. He talks about the economy game. We got a brother named James Smalls. James Smalls used to be down with the Black Panthers. He's a professor in New York. This brother's brilliant. We have a brother named Ranoko Rashidi, wrote several books, Golden Age of the Moors. He was an editor of that book. He wrote a book called The African Presence in Asia. So we got the heavyweights. We got KRS-One, hip-hop legend in the movie. So, we're coming with the heat with this one.
Yeah, sounds like it. And when do you expect Hidden Colors 2 will be finished and released?
Hopefully we'll get it out by December. We'll probably get it out by December. Maybe sooner, but December at the latest.
Okay. And is it going to have a longer theatrical run this time?
I think it is. I think it is. Because we had like a weekend run in April of 2011, but this time it might be a little bit longer because there's such a demand for it. And again, it was like a Hidden Colors. It's really the first movie of its kind. The first one, there's no movies like that at all. So we didn't have a template to go by. A film with a subject matter that's considered that controversial. You never see that really in theaters ever. So hopefully we do get a longer theatrical run, and the audience is going to be bigger on this one. When the first Hidden Colors came out, there was lines around the corner in movie theaters. People were thirsty to see this film, and we didn't get any kind of mainstream press. Everything was word of mouth with this film, but that's the amazing thing.
Wow. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Okay, I was gonna say, all right, I'm gonna do this twice. I'm gonna say a word, and I want you to say whatever comes to mind. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Ammonia.
Bleach.
I remember that clip that you had on your show. That chick said ammonia. I was finished. I was finished.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was hilarious. About the shoe riots down there in Texas. That was hilarious.
Okay, I'm gonna do one more word. Well, it's two words actually. It's, but the same thing. Grenade macking.
Hot fire. You got to spit hot fire when you do the grenade macking. For those who don't know, the grenade macking is when you go to a club or go to a location and you talk to the women, as many women as you can, for about 5 to 10 seconds, and then you walk away. It's like you're pulling a pin out of a grenade, waiting on it to blow up, and you're trying to say what you have to say before it blows up. And you do that in order to boost your confidence up. And I tell guys to do this because this will help you lose the fear of interacting with women. Once you see that women are human, for just talking to them for a few seconds, once you see that they're not going to bite your head off, you're going to see that they're not above you, they're not superior to you, that's going to really calm your game down and get your mind right when you do the grenade macking technique. And I talk about that in some of my books, by the way.
Okay. And you got the horror movie that you're working on. When do you expect that to come out?
That should be ready by this summer. We got a couple of special effects that we're working on right now, but that should be out by this summer. So we're cranking that out as we speak. And that one, the eugenist, a lot of people don't even know what the eugenics movement is. The eugenics movement was a very real movement. Now, the horror movie, it doesn't have any kind of racial overtones, but there are some racial undertones, a lot of subliminal stuff in there. But the movie is a very good movie. You guys are going to really enjoy it.
I can't wait to see it. Okay, I got two more questions. What else do you have planned in the future? Like, what does the year 2013, 14, what are some other things you have planned?
The next movie I do will probably be an action film. That's the thing. We're going to start working on an action film.
Ooh.
I'm going to have another book coming out that I've been working on for about a year. That's semi-autobiographical, but it's a novel called The Game Advisor. I've been working on that. A lot of other stuff as far as the radio show popping. I'm going to start doing more lectures abroad. I'm going to go to Europe and start doing lectures because they've been wanting me to come out there for the longest. I'm going to start doing some stuff for television. I'm going to shoot a show that I've been writing, a concept, and we're going to start shopping that to the networks probably early next year, like a dating relationship type of show. So I'm going to shoot that myself and market it and just run that through my own production company. And if not, we'll just put it out on DVD or something like that. So we got a lot of stuff going on.
Cool, man. That's what's up. And
Yes, indeed.
I also want to tell everybody check out maclessonsradio.com because that's your website where you run your show. And
Yes,
is there anything else that you want to tell our listeners and the Tennessee Tribune's readers?
Yeah, I want everybody to just get the Hidden Colors DVD. Right now, we're at a critical moment where it's very important that black people know who they are. Hidden Colors is a great start, so you can know your history, and not just know your history, you can know how this game is being played out here when it comes to race, especially in situations like the Trayvon Martin situation. Right now, there's a lot of racial tension going on. You have people getting shot indiscriminately. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on, and I think that it's going to intensify. So I say to people of color, black folks, to really get your mind right. We got to stop this black-on-black violence nonsense. That's a major thing that we got to cut out literally overnight. We got to cut that out if we're going to go into 2015 right now. So we really got to get it together as far as that. Now, as far as dating and relationships, you guys go get my books, The Art of Macking, The Mac Within, all that stuff to really step your game up, step your mind frame up. I have books for women, The Art of Gold Digging, Play Be Played. I suggest you women get those books because there's good game in there for you. And check out all my pay-per-view specials on maclessons.com to step your game up.
This is an AJ Duggar exclusive.